When you think about it, what really connects something ancient like the pyramids to the massive skyscrapers we build today? Well, it's not just human ambition. It's a material that's as old as the Earth itself, stone. Forever, it's been the go-to choice for building things that are truly meant to last. So, let's dig in and uncover the story that's written in stone.
I mean, just look around. From these absolutely breathtaking structures like the Taj Mahal to the bridges and foundations we use every single day, stone is the silent, powerful backbone of our civilization. It really speaks a language of permanence, of a legacy that's literally carved right into our landscape.
So what is it? What's the secret? How does an engineer look at a hunk of rock and know for sure that it can stand up to centuries of wear and tear? Well, it turns out choosing the right building stone isn't just a simple choice. It's a huge, high-stakes decision that's based on a story that started millions of years ago.
Yeah, to really understand any stone, you have to look at its resume, its geological origins. This story tells you everything you need to know about its character, its strengths, and just as importantly, its weaknesses. And for a rock, there are basically three main career paths.
First up, you've got the igneous rocks, and these guys are, quite literally, born from fire. When molten magma cools down, it solidifies into rock. Now, if it cools really slowly, deep underground, you get these beautiful, strong crystalline structures like granite. But if it cools super fast, like on the surface from a volcano, you get a more glassy, non-crystalline texture like basalt.
Then you have the sedimentary rocks. The best way to think about these is like nature's ultimate recycling program. Over millions and millions of years, wind and water just break down other rocks into tiny little particles. These particles settle down, layer after layer, and get squeezed under immense pressure, forming brand new stones like sandstone and limestone. And that layering? That's their signature look.
And finally, we have the metamorphic rocks. These are the transformers of the rock world. They start out as either igneous or sedimentary rock, but then intense heat and pressure from deep inside the earth kind of cook and squeeze them into something totally new. It's pretty amazing. This is exactly how plain old limestone becomes the elegant marble we love, or how simple mudstone gets transformed into super durable slate.
Okay, so we've seen the rock's resume. Now, how does an engineer actually decide who gets the job? Well, they pull out a very specific checklist to see if the candidate is really qualified for the tough, demanding world of construction.
And here's that list. Strength, that's pretty obvious. It has to hold stuff up. Durability means it has to resist things like wind and rain for a long, long time. Hardness is super important for things like floors, to resist the constant wear and tear of traffic. Toughness is a bit different. That's more about resisting vibrations and sudden shocks. And low porosity, that one is a huge deal, and we'll get to why in just a second.
Now check this out. What's absolutely fascinating about this chart is the incredible range of strength. Look at the top. Trap rock can handle up to 350 newtons per square millimeter. Now compare that to laterite way down at the bottom, which maxes out at just 3.2. That's, over 100 times weaker? This tells you right away that these stones are meant for completely different jobs. No way are they interchangeable.
Let's just stop and think about that number for a moment. 350 newtons per square millimeter. To give you some perspective, that is like balancing a big, heavy motorcycle on an area the size of a pinhead. That is an absolutely immense amount of pressure, and it's exactly why tough materials like trap and basalt are the top picks for massive projects like dams and bridge foundations.
Okay, so let's talk about a stone's number one enemy, water. Porosity, which is really just the number of tiny little holes in a stone, is a critical weakness. The big rule of thumb is that water absorption has to be below 5%. So why is that? Well, if water seeps into those tiny pores and then freezes, it expands. And that expansion acts like a million tiny little wedges, slowly but surely cracking the stone apart from the inside out.
So how do engineers actually make sure a stone is good enough for the job? They don't just take its word for it, that's for sure. They put it through a whole series of grueling tests. You can think of it as the ultimate job interview, where the stone has to prove it's the right candidate.
And the tests themselves are often surprisingly simple, but super effective. For that water absorption test, you just weigh a dry piece of stone, you soak it in water for 24 hours, and then you weigh it again. The difference tells you exactly how much water it sucked up. A quick calculation, and boom, you know just how vulnerable it is to that nasty freeze-thaw cycle we were just talking about.
And it's not just about water either. Here we're seeing two other really crucial tests. On the left, the abrasion test tumbles the stones around to simulate the slow, grinding wear of foot traffic or car tires. And on the right, the impact test basically drops a hammer on the stone to see how it handles a sudden blow. A stone that's going to be used for a roadway, it has to pass both of these with flying colors.
All right, so the stone has gone through its resume check, it's passed its intense interview, now what? Well, now it's time for the final, most important step, matching the perfect candidate to its specific role in the project. This right here is a perfect example. Granite, that super tough igneous rock, has a crushing strength of up to 250 newtons per millimeter squared. It is an absolute workhorse, perfect for heavy-duty jobs like bridge piers. Marble, on the other hand, while it's still pretty strong, is less than a third as powerful. But it is beautiful, and it takes an incredible polish, which makes it the star candidate for things like flooring, wall facings, and all that gorgeous ornamental work. And this just gives you a sense of the incredible diversity of careers out there for a qualified stone. I mean, from being the literal foundation of a building to getting crushed up into tiny pieces for concrete, to becoming the polished, shiny face of a skyscraper, there's a role for pretty much every type of rock.
So, what does all this mean for you? Well, the next time you walk past a stone wall or step across a granite curb, you're going to see more than just a rock. You'll see a story of geological birth, a really tough interview process, and a carefully chosen career that was designed to last for generations.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. We live in this age of incredible material science, right? We're creating composites and polymers that are lighter and stronger than anything before. But when it comes to just sheer, raw endurance and that timeless connection to our planet, you have to wonder, will anything ever truly replace the simple, powerful, and enduring legacy of stone?